The South Shore Real Estate Podcast is your roadmap to success in unique niches and transactions. I'm Carla Nee, your host and guide through the uncharted territories of real estate on the stunning South Shore of Massachusetts. With experience spanning traditional and non-traditional transactions, I am here to demystify the complexities and equip you with knowledge and strategies that you need. Join me as we uncover secrets of creative financing, delve into the intricacies of investment properties, and explore innovative approaches reshaping our industry. Through exclusive interviews with local real estate experts, we'll unearth firsthand insights and actionable strategies to empower you in every deal. Whether you're a seasoned agent looking to expand your horizons or a newcomer seeking reliable guidance, the South Shore Real Estate Podcast is tailored to bridge the gap and provide you with tools for success. Stay ahead of the curve and gain your competitive edge by subscribing today. Welcome to a journey of discovery and success with South Shore Insight. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the South Shore Real Estate Podcast. My name is Carla Nee, and I am here with Gualter Amarelo. I do need to take a moment and apologize for any background noise you're hearing. My neighbor's landscapers are going bananas right now.
I can't hear them, so the Zoom is cutting it out, so we're good.
Perfect. So thank you for being here with us today, Gualter.
Yeah, it's an honor to be here. Carl, I've known you for a long time, so this is cool to see the show and all the impact you're creating in the world of agents. So wonderful opportunity for me too.
Well, thank you. You have done so much to help me build my business. For those of you who don't know Gualter, he is a bit of an icon in the real estate investing worlds, as well as with real estate agents. He's originally from Fall River, Massachusetts, and he has been helping realtors and real estate investors all over the place be as successful as possible and even become multimillionaires. So thank you, Gualter, for being here. Tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so you nailed it. I've trained over 10,000 real estate agents across the country, and we built 31 millionaires in the last 4 years. Obviously, I wear this shirt for a reason. Alchemist Station is something I believe in. It's a community full of investors and agents who are committed to building millionaires. So each agent that I've trained has committed to building 100 millionaires, yourself included. And yeah, I see you wearing the shirt. You got the new version. I see you got the logo with the circle around it. So
we're matching today.
So anybody you see wearing one of these shirts, it's a sign that they've committed to building 100 millionaires, that they're seeking financial freedom for their clients. And Carla, it's just an honor to be here today at this point, because I remember being an agent, back in 2012. No, I got my license in 2013. And being an agent from that time to this time, things have changed. Over the last 11 years, there's been a lot of shifts, a lot of changes. But one thing doesn't change, and that is that customers are still found the same way, and that house prices are still going to keep going up or sideways or down. Interest rates will change, but the commissions made from selling real estate are still better than most other jobs or alternatives. So real estate agency, regardless of what happens in the economy, as long as you understand how customers are acquired and how to move people through housing, there's a lot of money to be made in this industry.
Yeah, absolutely. And you and I, we see it every day. Yeah. So tell us how you got started.
So I got started into real estate, not as an agent. I actually came in as a homeowner, as somebody who I was with a girl, and I think every great story in real estate starts with a girl. And actually, in fact, I know that transaction-wise, only 8% of all transactions are ever done without a woman. So 8% of all transactions are done with just a man alone. And 98% of all transactions are done with a woman involved, and 18% of transactions are just a woman.
Can I stop you there and ask a question?
Absolutely.
How did you think to come by this knowledge?
So I was a realtor, and I was thinking about, who is the avatar? who is the ideal customer who buys the
Oh.
most amount of real estate? And I started searching, and then the information was just there. NAR had done all the work for me. And I started looking, I said, okay, so hold on. I'm a man targeting men to buy real estate. That's stupid. What I should do is start targeting women. What the website told me is women in their 30s, women who turn 34 to 36 are more likely to buy first-time home buyer properties. And then the investors, because I was focused on the hyper buyer, the person who buys the most amount of real estate. Because one person, and here's the stats are all out there. The average home buyer buys one house every 7 years. So this 36-year-old woman who's in a committed relationship, generally in a committed relationship, and either getting married, just got married, has a dog, or has a kid on the way, or is thinking about having a kid on the way, is only going to buy one house every 7 years. But then there was this other factor that said, there's the real estate investor who aims to buy seven houses every single year. And when I started shifting, I said, okay, like I want to work with those. What stats are they? Well, they're married. They have two kids typically. They're in their 40s and 50s, and they're thinking about financial freedom. And they're typically entrepreneurs. So like these factors were where I shifted and I said, okay, like women are still a big major part of the transaction, right? All of these investors are married. And the woman is either the reason they are able to go invest or not. Because I have heard investors over the years say the number one reason I couldn't invest in the beginning was my wife wouldn't let me. And I had to go do this before she finally trusted me to go and buy multiple houses. So it is very important. I shifted a lot of my marketing to be spouse related. Hey, if you're not talking about real estate investing with your spouse, it's just never going to work. And so all of my events, anything that I do says your wife comes for free, your spouse comes for free. Like if you bought a ticket, your spouse can come with you. We strongly encourage it because real estate is a family business.
That's awesome. So everybody drop what you're doing and only target that market.
It's simple. Why waste time? Because we know one thing, another stat that I know that realtors should be aware of. People under 20 don't buy houses. So there's a lot of people, real estate agents who are on TikTok trying to build an audience, but that audience is a much younger generation and they're not buying houses yet. Now, maybe 10 years from now would be a great idea because they're going to be 30 and that would make sense then. But if they're under 20, 28 years old, there's a very, very small margin. I was one of those, right? I bought a house at 22, but I'm one of the few. There's a small margin of people who will do it. The majority of first-time home buyers are 36 years old, and there's a woman on the transaction. So focus in that space.
Interesting. Okay. Sorry, sidetracked you. So you were married, you purchased a home, or there was a woman involved and you purchased a home, and that was your first uh dip into real estate.
Yeah, so me and this girl have been dating for like a year, but we watched HGTV together and we were saying, man, like we should buy a house, we should buy a house. And we were like, well, we're not married, but could we buy a house together? And she was like, yeah, let's just go do that. Well, we don't have to follow all these rules. If you get married and you buy a house, like we're already thinking about living together. Why don't we just go buy a house together? We split the money down the middle and we purchased our first single family. And over the 4 years we lived there, we just renovated, fixed it. It was a huge fixer-upper. We just renovated everything. And about 4 years into it, I contacted a real estate agent. I put it on Zillow as like, hey, maybe I would sell it. And this realtor came in and totally convinced me to sell the house. And my wife was mad. We were married at the time now. She was mad. She was like, dude, like, why are we selling this house? Is perfect. We spent the last 4 years making it perfect. Now it's perfect. In my head, I was thinking, because I was trying to invest. I was trying to invest in real estate. I wanted to get out of my job. I hated what I was doing. I was thinking, like, if I could just get some of the money from inside the house and start using that to buy real estate, we could just buy a bigger house. Like, we could just take this money, split it off, and we go do the same renovation thing. And I would go and get rental properties. So I could get two properties from one property. And what ended up happening was I bought two rental properties, and that ended up causing me a divorce. So in the divorce, on my way out, I was like, I got to get my real estate license so that I can stop paying realtors a commission. Crazy because now I don't use my real estate license. I pay realtors a commission. But in that divorce, real estate agency, I lost my job. I didn't lose my job. I quit my job to work on my marriage because we had a business together. And me being home really tore the relationship apart because we really got to know each other really, 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 really well. And we started realizing there's a lot of friction. We just don't belong together. And best thing I ever did was quit my job. Worst thing I ever did was quit my job. I could, go back and forth on that. But I went from being an accountant to a real estate agent. Now, you know me, Carla. I'm a super introvert, but uh, being an agent means extroversion to the maximum. So I had to learn all these marketing skills and the sales skills. And it was a journey. I went from making $75,000 as an accountant to making $17,000 as a real estate agent. I did like 8 transactions. I was in a team. My blessing was I was in a great team, 35 agents, most of which made 6 figures. So I was in a really good consolidated office with a lot of hustlers, and they were showing me the way. They were mentoring me. They were guiding me. But it was an event that I went to that changed my mind.
Hey, it's Carla Nee, and I've got something big to share with you. Look, the market's doing its thing, and if you're like me, you're always looking for ways to stay ahead of the game, especially when things get a little shaky. That's why I'm stoked to be a part of something truly powerful, the 21-day recession-proof challenge with Alchemist Nation. I'm not talking about just another course that you sign up for and forget about. This is 21 days of straight up actionable strategies to make sure your financial foundation is rock solid, no matter what the economy decides to do. And here's the best part. I'm going to be with you every step of the way. We're going to dig into the tactics that pros use to stay ahead, grow their wealth, and protect what they have built. Whether you're just dipping your toes into real estate or you've got a few deals under your belt, this challenge is going to take your game to the next level. And I should know, I have taken this course a couple times. Now let's sweeten the deal. When you jump onto this challenge with me, you're also getting a ticket to the Alchemist Nation Summit in Orlando, Florida, this October 18th through the 20th. I will be there. This isn't just any event. This is your chance to rub shoulders with some of the sharpest minds in business, learn directly from the best, and walk away with strategies that could change your life. So here's what you do. Head over to carlanee.com, CARLANEE.com. Find the 21-day challenge, lock in your spot, and let's go to work. And hey, don't keep this to yourself. Share it with your friends, your family, or anyone who needs to hear this. Let's bring them along for the ride. I can't wait to see you inside the challenge and at the summit. Let's get recession-proof together and let's make moves that count. Stay focused, stay hungry, and remember, we're in this together. Let's crush it.
I went to an event called Secrets of the Millionaire Mind with T. Harv Eker, and I was sitting in the room, and I was dressed like a normal person, but everybody in there was dressed in suits. And the name of the event was Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. So I thought, this is the craziness. This is how young I was 28 years old. And I thought everybody in the room was a millionaire because of how dressed they were. They were dressed professionally. I wasn't. And I was just like, oh man, like they let me in, like, oh, like so I just like took all the notes. I didn't talk to anybody. So now I couldn't be convinced that they weren't rich. Like, I thought everybody was rich. I talked to nobody. I just took notes from the speaker. And the speaker said something. He said, look, if you're in this room and you're not a millionaire, then I need you to become successful and pay it forward because you're in this room getting all this knowledge, all these successful people, and it's unethical for you not to go and help other people if you've stolen this knowledge from me today. And I was like, fuck, this went right into my core. So I was like, shit, I've got to become successful because I'm in this room with all these other people who are successful. Now, I didn't know because I've been back to that event now many times, and it's a lot of just normal people in the room. A lot of them are broke, and they're broker than I was, and but I didn't know that, and so it created this insanity inside my head that I had to be successful. So I set the target at that event. I said, I'm gonna make 6 figures this year, and I converted my real estate business down to efficiency and effectiveness, and like who is the right customer? How do I get in front of more of them? How do I have the right conversation? What questions do I ask? What do I say? What do I do? And it was just like a monster year of development. I made $90,000 as a real estate agent that year. But I had bought those 2 rental properties, and in the divorce, I borrowed, I scrapped, I refinanced, I did everything to give my wife the money she wanted, killed my 401ks, all that stuff. but I kept the rental properties. That year, they made me $25,000 in cash flow. So I actually made six figures. I made 115,000 in real estate that first year as an agent. And I didn't realize that nobody else knew how to do this. That first year, I thought I was the broke one. I thought I was the worst agent in the world. And I thought every other agent was better than me because I wasn't talking to anybody but hustlers. All I had around me were six-figure earners. So like they were showing me like how the big gap between me and I thought every other agent was a six-figure earner because that's all I knew. That's all I was surrounded with. And so it wasn't until the next year I started recruiting agents and training agents and like bringing them onto my team that I started realizing like, whoa, like maybe what I have done here is a little unique. It's a little bit different. And I started creating a lot of content because agents were asking me questions about how I did what I did. And it became this thing where that year I made 150,000, but I didn't do any transactions myself. I pulled away from the business and I separated from the business and I had this team of 15 agents who were really crushing it. And then the year after, I brought in a sales manager and I had 25 agents and I made the same amount of money living in Las Vegas. And so I just started training and teaching and teaching and teaching. But my path into real estate, this is the joke. This is like the biggest joke in the world is I told my buddy who was asking me, hey, you should get your real estate license. And I said, F no. I'm getting my license not to help other people, just so I can have access to MLS and be a better investor. I said this. These words came out of my mouth, and like God listens because then I became a realtor. And then I told my broker one day, he's like, you should build a team. I was like, F no. I work alone. I'm never going to build a team. I'm never going to work with agents. I just want to do my own thing. 3 years later, he showed me how to build a team. I had a team of 25 agents, and I was retired and financially free because I'd learned how to build a business. And then I said, I'll never ever have partners. And I brought in partners into my real estate. So anytime I've ever said I'll never ever, the universe is funny about forcing you to get into positions that you said you would never do. So I'm very careful what I say I won't do now.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of irony around the MLS portion because usually investors just don't even touch MLS. They want nothing to do with
Well,
it.
I found, I'm going to give you a marketing technique that you already know, Carla, but this is for any agent who's listening. Why do investors want MLS? There's something called the public record. You can go inside the public record, get the name of the owner, get the partner they may own it with, get the address of their house, not just the house that's available, the address of their house, and you could find the inventory in the city. So I was in Fall River, Massachusetts. I found out there were 3,003 families in the city. MLS only had like 40 on at the time. So in my head, I'm thinking, whoa, on market's 40, off market 3,000. That's 3,000 homeowners who own three family buildings, which was all I could afford at the time. And like they're out there. And I started doing some research 2 years into my agency. And I started looking around. I was like, how many four families are in the city? There's 600 four families in the city, but you'd only ever see one or two on the market. So that opened my mind again. And I looked at how many six families were in the city. There's only 600 six families in the city. So as I was shifting, I started realizing certain cities didn't even have that inventory. I went to Dorchester, Massachusetts, and I said, how many six families are in Dorchester? Three. I'm driving through Dorchester. I'm like, what do you mean there's only three? How is that possible? I'm looking at I'm a six family right now. I'm looking at a three family right now. And it turned out in cities close to Boston, they had condoized. So the structure was originally a six family, but on MLS in the off market area in the public record, it's no longer a six family, it's a condo. And so it started making me aware, and I started doing this all over. I'm very analytical. So I did it in like every major city in Massachusetts to figure out what was the right market for me to be investing in, which cities had the inventory, which cities could I be a strong agent in. And I started using this technique to say, okay, this person who owns, because this is the important part why you need to know the homeowner's address. This person's homeowner's address keeps showing up. This guy owns 40 houses. That's the only client I need. I need him to start selling his real estate, or I'll just help him buy more real estate. But I need that one client who owns 40 houses. And I started ignoring everybody who didn't have, who only owned one three family. I don't want to talk to them. I want to talk to the person at six three families or 23 families. And that became my model was just less relationships, but deeper relationships and way more customer service.
That's awesome. And I just want to make a note for brand new agents who aren't aware. Once you go beyond the 4 units in a multifamily, that's no longer considered residential. That's commercial, but you're still licensed to represent them. Don't don't let them tell you otherwise. You are licensed residential, commercial, any real estate when you are licensed in the state of Massachusetts.
This is the coolest thing. I had a conversation with an agent yesterday, and she said, "Oh, well, I'm not licensed to do commercial." And I was like, miss, you are. Like, let me just rephrase. You're not only licensed to do commercial, but you can receive a referral fee because you're federally licensed in this country. You can receive a referral fee from absolutely any agent across the country, regardless of the brokerage they're in. She was like, "Well, I'm not in the same brokerage as you." I was like, "Dude, it does not matter. Take my client, pay me a referral fee. You're in a state I'm not licensed in. Let's work together. It's totally fine." And she's like, "So I can sell a commercial building?" I was like, "You can sell a commercial building. If you can sell a residential building, you can sell a commercial building. The P&S will be exactly the same. The stipulations of the investor may be different. Hey, we want to make sure all security deposits are included. Well, that's the same thing on the residential three family that you're going to do on the commercial. Not a lot of it changes. You may you may say, I want to inspect 108 units instead of inspect 3 units. Numbers change, but the concept is exactly the same.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so cool. I've sold businesses, right? I sold restaurants and bars, and people are like, "Well, how do you sell a restaurant and bar? You're a real estate agent." Yeah, I'm licensed as a real estate agent to sell real property. Real estate agents can sell businesses. We can sell restaurants. We can sell bars. We can sell the business with the real estate. There is no license for selling businesses. So realtors can sell businesses as well.
That would be an interesting course to take business brokering.
Business broker, dude, it's 10%. Industry standard on a business broker deal is 10%. The agent, like the real estate side, that's, 5, 6, 7, depending on the market you're in. But when you become a business broker, you're selling at 10%. It's like, why wouldn't you position yourself as a business broker and focus on commercial properties and sell the businesses? And
Yeah.
this is a niche that most realtors, even the commercial realtors, don't grasp that they have this capacity. You see commercial realtors selling deals at 4% because the bigger numbers and the investors really beat them up. Just sell a business. Shift over, sell an RAL, residential assisted facility, or an ASL, a senior assisted facility, or rooming houses, right? These are businesses that have real estate attached to them, bars, restaurants, all of that. Different niche, but yeah, I don't want to sidetrack us here, Carl, but there's a lot of
Yeah.
ways for realtors to make money in niches versus being the person who works with everybody.
Yeah. Real estate can get crazy. It's a wild world. All
Yeah.
right. So you bought out your wife on your multifamilies.
Yeah.
Now what comes next?
So I buy her out. One of the things that was so beneficial was this divorce happened in 2013, like 2012, 2013. So the market was still going up. A year later, I refinanced the two family I had and I pulled $40,000 out. My brother was the one who I had to do that credit line with because my credit was trashed. I was ever maxing out credit cards. So I brought my brother in, and the stipulation of the deal was it was just a thank you, right? Your family would take care of you. But I told him, I'm going to give you $15,000 to go start your business because he started this gym, athletic movement parkour. It's actually a fitness facility for kids in Fall River. And he was like, "Thank you, awesome. What do I owe you?" And I was like, "Dude, like you just signed on a loan for me for $40,000. Actually, it was like $220,000. You just signed on this loan. Like we're good. You took care of me, right?" And I took the other side of that 40,000, that 25,000, and I bought another rental property right down the street. And then the next year, I sold the three family because I got a letter in the mail. My wife wanted her name off of the loan itself. So I refinanced the two family and I sold the three family. I made $150,000 when I sold that three family, which makes everything I had to pay her 2 years earlier seem 3 years earlier seem small. Like it was like no big deal. Why was I even complaining? Like my life totally got better because I was holding real estate. And during that time, I was building the team. I started a property management company. Here's a warning to any real estate agent ever who's like, "Oh, you know what I should do? Start a property management company." Because You got a real estate license. You can be a property manager as well. It was 6 months to the day from the point where me and Ron started it. We had our 42 units and we brought on 42 more units from 5 other investors. We were up to 84 units of management. No big deal. We were killing it. We were crushing it. My assistant leaves 3 months into this, and I realize she is impossible to replace. And we go and get our own property management company outside of us, and we just dropped the business. We gave it to them. My biggest regret at that time was not selling the property management company. My second biggest regret was starting the property management company. And I may even be in reverse. So maybe my biggest regret was starting the property management company. My second biggest regret is not selling it for something. I could have sold that for 40 grand, 80 grand, because they took away a $15,000 a month cash flow from that business. So
Wow.
lesson, don't get into property management, but if you do and you want to get out, sell the business to a larger property management company.
That's a good tip. I inherited in a position like that, and not for me.
It's hard work. Look, we're agents, we're in sales. Like that's where we belong. And that
Mhm.
makes, to me, you can move a lot faster, you can make a lot more money. When you start getting into managing tenants, now you're talking about micro money, it's small amounts, it's high headaches. It takes a very good person to just do that full time. And but it's not a big pay. Like you can pay that person 30, $40,000 a year just to take phone numbers and be at calls, and like it's not a very high paying job. And so as an agent, it seems tempting because it's like, oh, that's extra stream, it's passive income. Nothing passive about it. One of the biggest regrets. Yeah. So we we got past that. Once we sold that business, at my peak, I had 12 businesses because I'm kind of a serial entrepreneur, or I was. I'm a serial entrepreneur in recovery, and I'm focused now on one business, one thing. Alchemist Nation is my main thing, with real estate investing as my side hustle, my part-time job. And we shifted into alchemization for one reason. I was having a hard time finding clients for my team. I had 25 agents. I needed a marketing funnel. I needed a bigger way to generate leads I needed real estate investors because I didn't want to have to talk to 2,000 people in order to get the 100 transactions I needed my team to go and do. And so I started bringing in real estate investors. I started training real estate investors and teaching and speaking to real estate investors to draw them in as like a magnet. I started doing the landlord associations and the real estate investor groups. I started using those as ways to build relationships with investors all over Massachusetts. And then I positioned myself as a coach, as a speaker. And I started going out to Boston and out to Rhode Island and out to Connecticut to speak. And what was crazy is that was where I got more leads for the city I was working in, Fall River. I was getting leads from an hour and 2 hours away from agents referring me business because they didn't want to drive the hour or 2 hours and they didn't know the city the way I did. I was paying them referral fees. And that became an awareness to me is it doesn't make sense to market in your own city. It makes sense to market your city in the major city in another area around because those agents won't want to drive. You got to drive that distance in order to build the relationships in large networking groups so that you can actually draw business back to your city where you're the expert now because everybody's the expert in your city. But if you can go to another city, you become the expert of this particular city. You're memorable, people send you business. Investors are like, "Oh my God, you know that city? Like, yeah, I want to talk to you about how to invest there. I've heard about it. I looked online, the prices are right." So it's a strategy I used to call the Robin Hood tactic, where I would go to the major city, Boston, and I would bring people down to the city where the prices were cheaper. And I would just volume sales, sell a whole bunch of properties instead of trying to sell one property in Boston or competing with them, or sell one property in Fall River competing with them. I went to Boston and brought them down to Fall River, an hour away.
That's awesome.
It's also why my property management company was like such a no-brainer because all these investors were like, I'm not driving down there to fix it. Do you got a property manager? I was like, yeah, I'll do it.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's great.
So
That's
I was
great.
a full service. When I shifted away from property management, I just got a referral fee from my buddies. And it was so much easier for me. Like, hey, I'm selling to these investors, and then I get a little referral fee from bringing them into the property management company.
Awesome.
Yeah, lot there, lot there.
So, and today, tell us about where you are today.
So today we are focused on entrepreneurs. So we've made the shift from just isolated working with agents to working with mortgage brokers, to working with financial planners, to working with property managers, the folks who build millionaires. This mission of 100 millionaires out of our locations, we're focused on coaches now. We've really built out a robust coaching program that's focused on financial freedom, focused on customers. How do you get the next customer? How do you get the next customer? How do you automate your business so it runs without you? Right? Like I did with my agency. How do you get it so you're selling, you're the only person selling, and then you transition to bringing people in, and then you transition out where this is still generating income for you, or sell the business as another way to get out and then invest that money into real estate. So how do we set these 2 to 3 year plans to get a person from in a position that they can't get out of to a position where they could, and then to a position where they actually do? And that transition is what my all my time is focused on. That we're building systems all the time. We're hiring coaches constantly. We're training coaches like you. You're out there serving people as a realtor and as a coach, and building communities around the idea of financial freedom, right? Because it's the community, it's that tribe that actually makes a person go and do a thing. Like I was in that room of like that office of agents who are crushing it, and their crushing it made me want to do better. It set goals for me that were outside of my own capacity.
Right. I think also that element of shared knowledge rather than not helping each other out. There's that element that is motivational as well.
And that's where the recession proof challenge has 10, 20, 30 people in the room for 21 days all working with each other saying, hey, I tried this didn't work. What is that? How does this work? That's why we focus very heavily on the power of the mastermind. We have masterminds inside of our communities because that's the real players. The real hustlers get into a mastermind together, and they're just saying, look, I tried this, I tried that, this is working for me, this is working for me. Or this person walks in and is like, guys, I just made $6,000 this week. Well, what'd you do? Right? What'd you shift? Or I sat down with 10 clients, they're all going to buy real estate with me. Well, what was that? How did you get these 10 clients to all book calls with you and go show properties and get pre-approved? Like, what was the step you followed? Where'd you find them? What is this process? And the beauty of the masterminds is a lot of times our people are from all over the country, so they don't care about sharing. They're
Right.
like, sure, like you're never going to compete in my market. Like, here's the knowledge of how I find customers. Here's the knowledge of what I say when I'm there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's for those of you who have not visited Alchemist Nation yet online, I'm gonna provide information in the show notes here. I've been a member for over a year now, maybe two. I'm
Closer to
not
two.
sure. Um, actually, the way I found out about it was I was at the time I was an agent with EXP, and we have this thing called what is it?
Workplace.
Workplace. So Dorina had Gualter's partner in life
Farm she's also the mother of my child. She's
in
part of a lot
parenthood.
of stuff.
She had messaged me saying, do you want to take this free course on how to become recession proof, or it was either that one or work with investors?
We always start with work with investors. Our first question is, hey, do you work with investors? If the agent says yes or I'd like to, like, cool, come check out this webinar, work with investors. If you agree to it, then maybe we could do business together.
Yeah, it was awesome and it was free, and obviously I'm hooked because I'm still with you. I'm working right there with you, and I'm looking forward to what used to be called the 100 Millionaire Summit
Now we call it the
is
Business and Real Estate Summit in Orlando, the 18th of October to the 20th. It's focused on income. In the past, we used to call it the 100 Millionaire Summit, right? And that event, the name scared people away. When we were calling it 100 millionaires, people thought they had to be a millionaire to get there. And I was like, oh, this has to change. Now, we had a lot of people. We had 100 people the first year, 120 people the second year, 220 people the third year. But in order for us to scale and really help more people, we had to get away from the scary name of 100 millionaires. Now, it's still our core mission. We just don't tell people about it. We just keep it kind of internally that, hey, we're building 100 millionaires. It's like you got to ask us about it in order to find out. But now the summit is called a Business and Real Estate Summit. And in that, we focus on generating income. We focus on the $1 million business plan. We're going to build that over the year because a business plan is proven to build your income, increase your income by 33%, 34%. That's what a business plan does. Now, a business plan that gets used is what does that. But businesses that don't have a business plan have 34% less income than a business with a business plan. So even though a business plan is not worth $1 million, unless you build a $1 million business plan and implement it all the way, then it could be. And then the other thing we do at the summit is very unique is we give you the millionaire contract. And we took this from the fitness world. In the fitness world, they give you a self-contract where it would increase your likelihood to lose the weight or gain the muscle or change your diet by 20%. Well, how the mind works is the same in fitness as it does in relationships, as it does in business. And so what we did is we created a millionaire self-contract. Hey, I commit to being a millionaire, and if I don't want to make the calls, I'll read this contract and I'll go make the calls. Like it's basically just a self-contract that says I'm going to do the things. So your likelihood of becoming successful is 20% increased, and your income is 34% increased over the weekend, simply by implementing those things over a year. So this summit is very specifically geared towards entrepreneurs, real estate agents, attorneys, and really focusing on making sure that the real estate professionals, the mortgage broker, the property manager, the accountant, the insurance agent, those folks have the tools to go out and help at the highest level, which is, the people we want to serve are really the baby boom generation, the silver tsunami, these older folks who don't have the sophisticated knowledge that you as a licensed person have, and really need that help to either downsize or shift where they live or get into better, housing before the, housing facilities take their money, or before their kids, end up losing the house or selling it cheap, in probate or foreclosure. So there's a lot of people who need a lot of help right now. And so our deep core mission is financial freedom for all. And the summit is a tool for us to show the entrepreneurs how to position themselves in the market, how to leverage being an authority, and how to create yourself to be an authority, how to leverage a community of customers, paying customers who get together with you and want your services, and how to work together instead of being competitive, how to be collaborative and get the other people inside the industry working with you, right? The financial planner, I raise millions of dollars through financial planners. I'm a real estate investor and a real estate agent, but financial planners help me sell people's houses, right? Because the financial planners help structure things. The attorneys, the attorney who does the trusts and the irrevocable trusts and all these different entity structures helped me sell people's houses. So it was really important. I'd be like, hey, come learn about why you should sell your property, or how you could sell your property, or different areas that you could do to prevent taxes. And suddenly, like, that community that I was building started making a lot of money and started creating financial freedom. So we want to teach that to the entrepreneurs that come to the summit this year. How to make it more fun, how to make your business more fun, more impactful, and more increased income.
That's awesome. I wanted to go last year so badly, but my son had surgery on October 14th. So I am pumped to be going this year. I'm for anybody out there who wants to reach out, I will be there on the 17th if you want to network on the evening of the 17th. And Gualter, I believe with everybody that purchases the recession-proof package, you get a free ticket. Is that right?
That is if they purchase through you. If they go through your recession proof challenge, then yes, I will give a summit ticket. So the recession proof challenge is $200. The summit tickets right now are on sale for $200, although as we get closer to the summit, they'll go up to 1,000. So that is a benefit for your community. And so everybody who jumps into the recession proof challenge, which is the 21-day challenge that I built and now you facilitate, which
Mhm.
is right in line with your skills as a marketing person, as a salesperson, as training agents. So that 21-day challenge, although sounds easy, the word challenge sounds fun, is a challenge. It's hard. It's also geared to get a massive return on investment. It's geared to bring in one of our coaches who's teaching right now is showing people how to make $1,000 a day inside the recession proof challenge. And it is possible, right? Even though we're real estate and so I don't make $1,000 a day, like you do if you add it up over the 60 days that you worked to get to those closings. If you think about the 3 months it takes, 2 to 3 months it takes to close, and you work really hard and you bring in the customers and you start doing the math. Because I remember a summer where I made 15,000, 22,000, and 25,000. It was June, July, August. But I had started the work back in March. I started locking down the customers, started working with them, started getting things under agreement. And that was how I had gotten to that. It was almost like $60,000 I made in a 3-month period. So it was set up by the 3 months before. And that's kind of how this business works. So the Such Proof Challenge is kind of the beginning to that, setting it up and getting yourself to the point where you can close.
Right. When I was going through it, really just for the listeners and anybody that's interested, really the first somewhere from like the first third to a half, the first halfway through the course is really the hardest part because you are really digging deep into yourself and what you really want. After that, it's smooth sailing because you're putting all of that into it's practicum.
You've built
So
an asset. You've become
yes.
a salesperson. Like you've built the asset, you've built the habit. And that's why it's 21 days. It takes 21 days to build a habit. It's like starting a gym routine. The first week or two is so hard. By the time you get to the third week, it's a little bit easier. It starts becoming a habit. It starts becoming easier. And if you can maintain any good habit like the gym or the Session Proof Challenge, or just talking to your spouse, you can be successful in those three categories of life: health, wealth, or relationships. Take quality habits, and money is like that. If you don't spend the time with customers, they're not going to know you when you come knocking to do a service.
Yeah, that's right. Well, as Gualter mentioned, if you sign up for my recession proof challenge that I will be teaching for Alchemist Nation, you also get a built-in ticket to the summit. And for anybody who already has a ticket or will be joining us, I'll be down there on the 17th. So connect with me and let's do some business. I
Do
want
some
to thank
networking.
yeah. I want to thank you so much, Walter. I know you're a busy man. You've got a lot going on. And we really appreciate your time and everything you do for the real estate industry. And how can people get in touch with you before we close up?
Yes, Facebook is probably the easiest place to find me. Post in the comments. I don't really watch the DMs anymore just because they became overwhelming, and I do have a beautiful 3-month-year-old son who deserves all my time. But I am very responsive in the comments because if you ask a great question or you make a great comment, I'll probably say the same thing that I would say to 3 other people who are thinking the same stuff. So that is the easiest way to find me. At the live events, I plan on flying back to Boston, I think on the 16th. So I will be speaking at Kim Rodriguez's event, the Cocktails and Connections. So I will see you there, Carla. And
Oh,
then I'll
I
be
love Kim.
in Fort Lauderdale on the
Yeah, cool.
17th, Gainesville next week. The tour is on. So I may pop up in a place near you. So Facebook is the easiest place to find me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for listening, everyone, and we'll catch you soon.
Awesome. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, awesome interview. Really, really cool. I like the format. You've stayed focused on the value for the agent. That is, I think, for any influencer, anybody who's looking to help, any coach, any guide, it's to keep that customer in your mind as the hero of the journey. And you really do. You really focus on the agent. You're focused on what their concerns are, what their challenges are, who the enemy is. Obscurity is the enemy, the fact that nobody knows who they are. So that was, yeah, great format.
Thank you. I actually had to do a one sheet last night for the podcast itself because I'm scared that people are going to try to use it as more of a sales platform than an educational or value-based platform. So I did that last night.
Very important to do. I've had people on the Alchemist Station podcast, and they're like, "Yeah, so this is how you get in my fun." And I'm like, "Dude, like, no." So before the call, I'm like, "Hey, by the way, we're not selling this. We're not selling this. We're not selling this. Like, this is the conversation. This is my audience. This is the context." And then as I got on better and better guests, they start asking me, "Who's your audience? What value are they used to getting, and what value would you like for them to get from me? What is something you already know about me that I could totally bring in? And is there anything that you want me to avoid? Anything that's sensitive in your audience? I want to make sure that I'm in alignment. And that I think the first one who said that to me was um, the author of the book, The Go Giver, Bob Berg. And then when I had Mark Victor Hansen, the author of Chicken Soup to the Soul, he was the same exact way. He's like, hey,
it's Carla Nee, and I've got something big to share with you. Look, the market's doing its thing, and if you're like me, you're always looking for ways to stay ahead of the game, especially when things get a little shaky. That's why I'm stoked to be a part of something truly powerful, the 21-day recession-proof challenge with Alchemist Nation. I'm not talking about just another course that you sign up for and forget about. This is 21 days of straight up actionable strategies to make sure your financial foundation is rock solid, no matter what the economy decides to do. And here's the best part. I'm going to be with you every step of the way. We're going to dig into the tactics that pros use to stay ahead, grow their wealth, and protect what they have built. Whether you're just dipping your toes into real estate or you've got a few deals under your belt, this challenge is going to take your game to the next level. And I should know, I have taken this course a couple times. Now let's sweeten the deal. When you jump onto this challenge with me, you're also getting a ticket to the Alchemist Nation Summit in Orlando, Florida, this October 18th through the 20th. I will be there. This isn't just any event. This is your chance to rub shoulders with some of the sharpest minds in business, learn directly from the best, and walk away with strategies that could change your life. So here's what you do. Head over to carlanee.com, CARLANEE.com. Find the 21-day challenge, lock in your spot, and let's go to work. And hey, don't keep this to yourself. Share it with your friends, your family, or anyone who needs to hear this. Let's bring them along for the ride. I can't wait to see you inside the challenge and at the summit. Let's get recession-proof together, and let's make moves that count. Stay focused, stay hungry, and remember, we're in this together. Let's crush it.